I'm not going to step over the music like I step over you guys all the time when I'm on the mic. But hey guys, welcome back. Yo 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 yo. It's time to get this party going. You're here with JFDI, Nick, Gautam, G Paiza, and your boy Bags. You're watching Stocktwits Community to Rip Live. It's 2 p.m. on the East on a Wednesday, so it's our turn. Fellas, how are we? How are we feeling?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That could be better.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I was waiting for. I didn't know how he's going to answer.
Is this going to be the wet blanket episode for GP?
You know, maybe.
What are you thinking?
Maybe.
The chances are low, but never zero, Nick.
Sure.
What you thinking, GP? What's going on?
I like the strength in the mega caps. They usually are strong when incoming rate cuts are approaching. If you remember, in 2018, December 24th was Black Christmas, and December 28th was the start of a massive move in mega caps, anticipating the rate pause, rate cut that J Powell swore that he wouldn't make. Similar kind of thought process here. I think people are still stuck in the past, on the past news. Was something you mentioned in November, December timeframe, which was, I'm going to listen to this administration, right? And that's why you were selling down your positions. And now the administration has been screaming for weeks that they want to make deals, and lots of them, and no one wants to listen. And I think that's just, it's indicative of how bifurcated, bipolar this market is for a lot of people. But there are some gems, some absolute gems. And we talked about this. Have a plan, have a thought process, be aware, look for charts that are pulling into rising moving averages, monthly, daily, intraday, weekly, whatever you're looking at. It don't matter. Just stay consistent with your time frame. And there's a lot of opportunities available. Are things moving higher? No, we just moved like 20% in 3 weeks. We're consolidating, right? The 200 SMA, and everyone's freaking out that it's 2022, 2016, 2000, whatever. Name an analog, they'll freak out and attach it to it. So I think patience is required. I do like a lot of setups, and they have paid pretty well. We talked about HIMS, right? Like that's why we'll talk about it later in the future. But the HIMS is just one example. Pull back into the rising 50, and then shebang, right? And now everyone wants to call it a meme, and it's a cult stock and all that stuff. No, you could have been part of this. You chose not to be. So make your choices, live with them. But yeah, I like it, right? Like I like what's going on here. This is consolidation. The mega caps are showing strength. If you're watching any options flow, they are hammering June 2027 calls, right? Last time we saw this level, I believe, was October 2022. Might have been something after that as well. Anyway, things to pay attention to is look for solid pullbacks in this consolidation into timeframes, and give yourself patience, because the deals are going to take time. They're not going to materialize overnight and stuff like that. So just give yourself time.
Yeah, I feel like if you missed, if you weren't kind of bulled up the last couple of weeks, it was tough to get long or even add to existing longs going into the close of last week, because, I mean, just me, for instance, the McClellan was sitting at plus 200 for like 3 or 4 days in a row. I felt the underlying strength was almost palpable. Like the gap downs were getting bought up. It is still a bit of a stock picker's market, though. I mean, there are still landmines out there, but I just kind of think you need to be selling some, holding some. And it's the only way that you're going to stay invested and stay long is if you're holding something.
GP, just to hop in real quick, breaking news. Fed Chair Powell is leaving interest rates unchanged. The FOMC voted it's 4.5% as expected. So, GP, you were saying potentially lowering interest rates. Were you thinking that today or in maybe the next few meetings?
I was thinking possibly today, but he's a stubborn bastard, so he's going to keep fighting Trump, and then Trump's going to do stuff that's going to force him to. This is a very similar playbook, and then he's going to cut since the market's going to go up, and Trump's going to take victory. I don't think Jay Powell has learned his lesson, but he can do whatever he wants. Ultimately, you can reduce the pressure on the financial systems by also reducing QT, right? If you're not doing rates. So I haven't seen the news yet. Or how's the QT looking? How's stuff looking on that? I don't have it in front of me right now. I don't have any
the market's not feeling it. We're taking a little bit of a hit right now as we see prices drop in real time. This is the 5-minute chart. It's on the Qs.
You're going to have to let the action play out today. I think directionally where we head tomorrow and into Friday is ultimately going to be kind of what I think is going to be more important than what we see today, unless you're day trading, obviously.
Yeah, and we know on Fed Day things can get quite volatile, especially when they make the first announcement with the release, and then he comes out and talks for 20 to 30 minutes at times.
Yeah.
You see a lot of movement in the market, up and down. And usually the old axiom, right, is the first move is a false move on Fed Day. So this could be the false move. We could see this springboard back when he gets out in front of the microphone. It usually happens the other way around, but we've seen this play out too.
Yeah, and a test of that on the NQs, the tech futures, if you're looking at it, or on the Qs, doesn't matter. That mother bar, the 12% update retest here would be a fantastic opportunity. I talked about it a couple of days ago. Is that a pull into that level would be a fantastic opportunity to potentially put on some more exposure if you haven't.
You think like 19.8, something around there, GP?
No, it's 19,391 on tech futures.
19,391.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on the 5-minute there too. That's why I don't see it. There we go.
Right. So consolidation, retest, and then go, which also happens to line up with the rising 50-day and declining 200-day on the 4-hour chart. So you have a lot of confluences there that even if we sell into that, it would be not a bad place to look for responses from buyers.
So you'd love to see another about a percent and a half, 2% drawdown right here.
It could happen.
Yep.
I don't want to
if you draw a connect a trend line from that March high to that yeah, you can go back to the daily. Just connect a trend line from that March high. Nope, the next one to your right. Right there, yeah. And then connect it to this most recent pivot high. I'm looking at an inverse head and shoulders to build out here. So
yeah,
I'm gonna remain bullish until that pattern invalidates, and then from there, if it doesn't, then I'll reevaluate.
Oh yeah,
so some consolidation here would be phenomenal.
Just look at the small caps. Look at the reaction from small caps right now that's happening.
I love to look at the small craps.
So far, it's an inside day. It's down 0.12% on this. As small caps have been very rate sensitive, you would have expected this to go further, and it may still. I'm not saying it can't, but this is probably your tell. If they're not selling off, the small caps on this news, then maybe things are different. Maybe we're not reacting the
The
same way.
futures are up on the small caps, GP. They're actually green.
Yeah, they're about to go green again for me. They're down like 1 point, but that's my whole point, right? That's my it's the only index that's above, like way above the mother bar, I believe, right?
Yeah, everyone
That 4-9
SPY and
bar.
Qs are kind of flirting
Yep.
with it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's been the stronger bounce out of this whole move as well, on top of that. And it's showing relative strength. And Qs have pressure from Google. I know we wanted to discuss Google in general.
We can do
Yeah,
that now.
yeah, okay, let's go. Here's one thing that someone taught me when I first started, and we've talked about this on the show past, when we've done the show past, not Stocktwits. There is a finite pool of money in mega caps, right? Let's say it's 7 billion, 5 trillion. I don't care the amount. It's a finite number, and it constantly rotates between the mega caps. You will quite often see lots of mega caps never be green at the same time. Like I'm talking about the mega caps, right? Like the couple hundred billion and above level, especially in the tech space. So if you're looking at it right now, Amazon, Netflix are green, Meta is green, but Apple and Google are red, right? Like, and Nvidia is slightly red or whatever. But that's like this little tidbit of information that someone provided me years and years ago, and it just wholeheartedly made sense to me. So Google does its thing, has its news, and money rotates in and out of these mega caps, right? And so that's my kind of viewpoint here. Is Google ready to go higher? No, there's the 200 week that's sitting right underneath it that needs to go. But I don't even know what the news is. That's how little I pay attention to the news. What was the news? Let's share that.
Well,
with
we can use the good old Stocktwits What's Trending tool. Let me pop over there. I've got to unshare this, and I'm getting used to driving our new car around here. And let me share this one, Stocktwits. There we go. You guys should be able to see that now. Yeah.
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 All right. Let's hit that little blue
Something about
dot.
search, right?
Yes. So I know what's going on, but we want to use Why It's Trending AI tool. So Alphabet stock experienced a sharp decline due to Apple exploring AI-powered search integration into Safari, sparking concerns about reduced search engine market share. Community discussion centers on whether this is an overreaction given Google's existing AI capabilities and other revenue streams. Blah, 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 blah. The other broader tech sectors also in question. Basically,
sounds like Apple Maps.
Yeah, basically, Apple is saying, well, we might put our AI into Safari, and Google previously reported in their earnings report, what was it, 2 weeks ago, that search had declined some. So while I think this may be an overreaction, I posted a chart earlier. I like Google just a little bit lower. I like it in the 140s, so I wouldn't, if this was the best price that we got, right, I would be a buyer right here. But I like it just a little bit lower. But you're exactly right, GP. We've talked about this for years, right? And whether it was the MAG 7 or whatever other acronym that they've had for the giant mega caps, it's always 2 to 3 of them performing excellent, 2 to 3 of them just treading water, and 2 to 3 of them kind of down, right? They just sort of balance each other off all the time. And in my experience, you have to worry when they're all down. As long as you have this sort of equilibrium, the mega caps are just fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. So take a look, Nick. You can talk about this, right? Like, look at the fact on the volume. This is liquidation type volume on the daily move, and it has not made a new low. So in your technical world, what does that usually? I know what it represents for me, but what does it represent for you?
I mean, I kind of see where you're going. Like, I would argue the same thing, as in, like, the volume is there. Does it have the volume to push it lower, as in taking out that what is it, that 140 pivot? It obviously does right now, but it hasn't been able to push price that much lower. I'd be looking at the way that I'm looking at that Google bar. Tomorrow's going to be more important to me than necessarily today, because when I see a massive bar like this, I'm going to want to see follow through. And if I don't get that follow through, that's where I'm going to be like, okay, well, what's really going on here? If I was looking at a short-term trade, I would just be kind of focusing on basically the low of that candle. And as soon as you see price kind of reclaim that, let's say tomorrow let's say we gap up to, like, say 150. Let's say we close here, we gap up to like I don't know, 53 or 54, whatever. Price sells off early in the morning, takes out that low. If there's real oomph behind this, like, they're gonna send it, and if they're not, they're gonna reclaim that pivot, and we'll likely see a big wick. Your entry there, though, is through the low of this candle, because this candle is going to create a huge air pocket. It's just you can ignore all of the price action, to the left of it within this range. So if they can't push price lower, it's going to go topside. Magnet's going to be towards that 163, 164. How it gets there or what it looks like, who knows? You can only take it a step at a time, but that's just what I would be looking at and looking for.
What's your take, GP?
So here's the thing that's always interesting to me. Agreed with all of that stuff, Nick. What if it's just a rumor, right? That's the first thing I'll say. And it's not actually news. It's just someone who wanted a better entry, and they released this thing that's now taken whatever, right? But why is Apple down? Right? Like, okay, if Apple's going to save over $1 billion or something like that they pay each quarter to Google. I don't know the exact number, so don't quote me on that. But they pay an insane amount of money to Google for their search engine. If this is something that they're actually doing, why would Apple be down? Right? So there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense to me in this conversation about Google, but it's rotation. It has always been rotation. And when it's not rotation, aka end of March, early April, it is everything that's red, right? Like there wasn't much that was green. So it's rotation till it's not. We're at 98 million today, or 97 million on shares. We're on the verge of eclipsing volume candle, red or green. I think the last highest one was 2022, right before it topped out. So a lot of things are saying, hey, this is close to a bottom. Just give yourself some patience and stuff like that we're going to go higher. But just remember, my entire viewpoint on mega caps is they're going to lag the rest of the market in general. So that's just my thought.
There's a level of uncertainty there too. If you have to, let's say you have to choose between the mag names, why would you choose the two that are duking it out over fucking Google Maps and search? Like, why wouldn't you pick, Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, and Tesla or Netflix? Like, if it seems to me like these would be more of a distraction to the rest. I guess that kind of points.
So like I've got no position. I thought about it today, but I don't I don't want any part of this conversation in general, right? I'm getting better responses and reactions from mid cap, small cap names.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Better movement, better
look at CPNG.
We've been talking about this since October, right? Like on the conversation of October, November, like mega caps are just not where you want to park your money.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some money to work in Google while you two are be like, there's better opportunities. This is a chart that you love. Look at this. It is straight up and to the right. That's the way you want to see price action going. It is the cheapest of all the mega caps at just under 15 forward PE. If it doesn't hold here, it's an easy stop out. You use last month's low as your stop. Like, this is easy. I want some. I want to be involved. And if you two are right, everything's so bullish, everything will come back around, and Google may not be the mega cap leader, but it sure as hell's been a laggard, and it'll be one that you want to own at $140.
So which one's cheaper, NVIDIA or Google?
Google.
By how much? Was it 16 PE versus 15?
I'll pull up NVIDIA. I just looked at Google a minute ago.
Yeah. I'm curious. I honestly don't know.
Google's at 14.86 forward PE right now, and NVIDIA is at 20.11 right now as we sit at price action this moment. I want some Google. I've had Google before. I've traded in and out of it. I've been so overweighted on mega caps in the past that I trimmed a lot of that out because of my Amazon position is so great. But I'm looking at this as this is something I want to be involved in at this price level. So if Jay Powell didn't talk today, I probably would have just put my order in at 150 and been happy. But I'm with you, Nick. I think there's probably going to be some more overreaction to whatever going on in the Fed. And I don't usually like buying something on the first day of a potential shakeout. So I think we look at tomorrow, we look at Friday, and we see where Google is heading into the weekend. If it's still down, I may even wait till Monday. But I'm stalking $140 like a hawk right now.
What do you think about it? Are you in the same boat with Apple?
Am I in the same boat with wanting to buy Apple?
Yeah.
Apple over Google at this moment in time? No, I would rather buy the Google.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I had a large position in Apple, then I would want to hold that position in Apple. I'd be adding to it. But we're talking about two new positions.
Yeah. But Buffett is selling Apple. Isn't that the end of the world?
Buffett sold a lot of things. He's got more money than God that he's sitting on, and he's going to retire at the end of the year. That's an interesting conversation to have, is what's Berkshire going to do to start 2026 when they have this huge freaking war chest and Daddy Warren's not there?
Tesla.
Well, first ask him about Occidental and how that's going. And that'd be my first question. If I had to pay $5 million to have lunch, I was like, what made you think Occidental was a good long? And then, so I have a lot of respect for Warren Buffett. He has some of the utmost patience, and you will learn a million things from him. But the market in which he crushed it and is now paying residual dividend is not the same market that we are in, right? So he has the same missteps. He has a lot, he's done a lot of stuff that's not that great over the last 10 years. But he has a track record that covers him for so much longer.
Well, he's been the CEO for 60 years now. Yeah. I mean,
some respect on the name, but I like to poke fun because that's me. But he's the greatest because he shows you what conservative, patient, long-term investing looks like.
It's the long game. That's how you get up 5 million %.
Yeah. And he does it via multiple avenues. But him retiring, I'm thankful for it. And that changes Berkshire over the longer period. I think that you lost Charlie Munger. Now you're losing Berkshire Hathaway. There are obvious changes that are going to come. What it looks like is anyone's guess. But Warren being the 60-year investor, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, I'm pretty sure he's made sure that who he puts in won't destroy the company.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot of people.
The successor?
Yeah, Greg Abel.
Yeah,
he's also 63. That young buck, right at retirement age. Let's go. let's go. He didn't hire a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old. He hired another guy approaching retirement for whatever reason.
So Nick, do you think
patient.
that? Sorry, GP. I thought you were finished with the thought.
No, just patient. Patience is his name, so patience in his stock would probably do you well. Any big dips probably would be good.
Nick, do you think anybody at Berkshire is going to change how they've done things in the near term?
No, not really. But I think he's going to want to, make a name for himself. Like, there's going to be, at least that's how I would approach it. Like I want to leave my legacy on this already like great existing name. Like I don't know. So I'm sure something will pop up that'll kind of shake everyone's boots a little bit, but it'll probably ultimately be a winner.
I would say if Berkshire starts selling some of their like 80s and 90s position, I'd probably start to think about my exit strategy, because it's the long game, right? And it pays more dividends than the company will ever have again. So if they start selling some of their long term holdings, I would say there's change adrift or bound, I guess. And so that would spark some concern for me. But they have $350 billion in cash. I don't know why they would ever sell any of those names, but those are the things I'd be watching for. Just huge shout out and huge respect for Warren and his entire team. They come in and they just do things right, and they have for a very long time. So good for him for retiring at 94. Hopefully he has another 10 years of drinking 5 sodas a day, 10 hamburgers a day, whatever memes are out there.
Duzio's in the chat. What's up, dudes? Duzio wants us to know that the mags are for jabronis, other than Tesla.
We know.
Yeah. We agree, dudes, right? Like we've been talking about it for a while. I think you can get your 20-30% here and there, and you got to pivot through these names. And yes, I think if you're going to put money to work, Tesla is the only place to put money to work right now in that mega cap space.
Are you Duzio, GP? Is Duzio your burner account?
Am I just egging myself on? Is that what you're asking me?
Are you pumping yourself up? You're tired of me beating you down every week. Is that what's going on?
Yeah. That's my alter ego, Duzio. Yeah, I still yet to figure out my own code language though.
Hey, I have to eat some crow this week because last episode I got a little excited at Nick for saying, "What do you mean we have V bottomed?" And I was like, "The hell we have." So, hey, Nick, so far we're holding the key levels, and I have to admit, as of this moment, it looks like I'm wrong. And I'm man enough to come out and say thank you for giving the people the bullish side of things last week.
Sure. I mean, it's just stacking if thens. I would just argue that we have V'd out. We're just hoping that it sustains at this point. There's obviously the chance that it fails.
Well, you're hoping it does more than V. You're hoping that this is an inverse head and shoulders and then goes to the moon.
I'd like it to get back towards highs. I'd definitely be a seller into highs, only to lock in gains, but I would definitely be still holding a good chunk of my longs because I just don't know if we would necessarily bust through it right away. But who knows? Who knows what Trump's like epic news is? Like maybe
but
like
he's
we've
telling
got
us, right? That's Nick. That's exactly. He's telling us he wants to make a deal, and he says it over and over. I know he's just waiting for the deals to happen, but if in the same way you shouldn't have ignored him in November, why are you ignoring him now, right?
For sure. Well, his announcement though, he say that it wasn't economy related. It was just some other massive discovery that I don't know. Aliens, man, come on, like some like I don't know. Like, there's got to be something.
It's not earth shattering.
Sure.
But when he says these big words, he usually just he fizzles out, right?
Yeah.
In terms of what he actually provides, he's a big earth shattering, and then it's like, oh, we bought another island in Hawaii, right? Like it's gonna be something stupid, right?
So GB, while I agree with you on the you should have been listening in November and you should be listening now, I think it's also seeing through some of what's being said, right? Just like in November, it was seeing through what was some of the things that are being said. Uh, yes, he's talking a lot about deals, but right now he's saying they're take it or leave it deals. They're not negotiable deals. So I'm not saying that part of it's right or wrong. The deal part is accurate. We're trying to make these better deals. But at the same time, I don't know how successful that's going to be with, let's say, China to say this is a take it or leave it deal. I don't
But
think
they're actually in the same room. As on this weekend, they're going to be in the same room.
Yes.
That in itself is evidence that it's not just talk, right? Whether it materializes into something great or escalates, we'll have to wait for that.
Correct.
But for the fact that they're sitting in the same room after many rumors of China deals so far, is a big step, and it reminds me of COVID. There was a lot of people who ignored everything that was happening in the markets, and then they got punched in the face repeatedly. And then they got bullish in 2021 when we peaked in growth. It's like you can't make this shit up. But that's a whole different conversation.
Well, I think the deal where I was going with that, I think the deal speak is becoming like infrastructure week was during the first term. So every week was something infrastructure, but nothing ever happened with infrastructure. And these are the seeds that are being planted, right? You can't make a deal when this is the deal, take it or leave it, right? And we talk a lot about deals, but they're not necessarily happening yet.
Well, then it's kind of like that word salad talk where it's like he might say take it or leave it. It might be take it or leave it about like this thing, but it's not take it or leave it about that thing.
Could be.
They're probably talking about what things they want to take it and leave it about.
We don't know, right? We don't know. And I'm not saying I do know. What I'm saying is for the last month nearly, we've heard deals, and it's reminding me of infrastructure week. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And
wasn't there a huge one with India though?
What was that?
Didn't a huge one get pushed through with India? I thought I saw a headline about like like India stepping in. I don't remember what exactly it was, but I just thought I saw one.
Fed Chair
Powell. India and Pakistan are fighting right now, so they don't really care about anything else right now.
Powell must be speaking. The market's U-turning. There's your first reaction's wrong reaction look.
But you just had to see it from Netflix, right? Netflix never went red in this whole thing, right? So market leaders, all that other stuff. Netflix has been a beast. And then you look at that. And then look at Spotify, right? Look at the markets that are showing you that stuff is happening. That's to the this reminds me. So I know it's not COVID action, but I can tell you 120% when we were sitting in May and June of 2020, March of 2020, I was having these same conversations with everyone on, blah, blah, we're blah, blah, about the market's going to go lower. This is just a technical reset, blah, blah, blah. And then in came SoftBank and fucked it all up, right? So that's a whole different conversation. But a lot of people need the news right now to get long the markets. What happened to markets where people anticipated and everything was already priced in and they're anticipating stuff like sniffing out rate cuts, sniffing out deals, sniffing out stuff. to me, we've had a pretty good bounce here. Everyone wants to short the 200 SMA. If you go to the Qs, right? That just quickly, Nick. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but
No,
if you're looking at the 200
yeah,
SMA here in 2025 versus the 2022, it's to me this is a really nuanced behavior. This is like why hasn't Palantir made a new high conversation? Um,
yeah,
just saying. Um, it it got to the 200 SMA in 2025, and in 2022 it reclaimed the 200 SMA twice and then died, right? So that the fact that it can't get to the 200 SMA tells me that they're selling before resistance even gets there, right? So there's still disbelievers in this market, and we're staying right around the 200 SMA, and that's just more fuel to push, go, burn through. These are key nuances in technical behavior that don't happen obviously the same. It's good to notice, but it's you got to see the price action to confirm it, right? But I would say this is all bullish confluences in terms of price action.
yeah.
And so yeah, sorry, go ahead.
There's names you're seeing get smoked, like like Eli Lilly got hit pretty hard, but then you've stuff like um, TTWO that got bought up right away. Spot got bought up right away. You're seeing stuff like Hims. Look at Copang. Copang didn't give up anything on that most like at all. Like it's
Unreal
been
move
just
on
straight
Copang.
vertical all day.
Look at
So I
look at
think
Zscaler, Okta. I'm gonna just add a few names. You can continue.
yeah,
Zscaler, Okta. Look at Tempest AI, right? On AI
yeah,
on earnings.
right.
So go ahead.
Stock picker. I mean, it's a. I think we discussed this way back when it was going to be kind of a stock picker's year, really.
Yeah.
So
You did.
you're gonna. It's
And
just
so
yeah,
I'll ask you the question, Nick. When you go to stock pick, I have my criteria for stock
sure.
pickers. What's your criteria, Nick? Ben, how do you approach in a couple of minute blurb? How do you approach how to get long names? There's a lot of names that are setting up. How do you choose between, let's say, Google and Tempest AI, or Google and I don't
I
know
mean,
Hims, right? So
for the most part, other than really Tesla and Meta, I'm kind of and Netflix. I'm kind of steering clear of Mag. Um, and it's a slow build for me, so I don't mind throwing small starters and feelers out there. I certainly don't mind cutting them loose if they don't work. Um,
We don't love them hoes. We need that on a t-shirt.
yeah, totally. Like there's not a reason, like we've said in the past, there's not a reason to be all in, all out. Your P&L is going to show you if you're being rewarded. So continue to build and focus on your winners and let the losers go. I mean, whatever, tale as old as time or whatever, but like seriously, follow it.
yep. And like Ben,
Yeah.
what's your criteria?
I got Okta pulled up here. I think this is a great.
Oh.
So I start with this Excel watch list that I have. This is everything that's in my known universe of things that I'm aware of. I think one of our biggest advantages as retail traders is trading the things you know. So whether like obviously I've been in semiconductors and tech and cybersecurity. Those are things I know just from my history and my past, right? But I put everything in this Excel watch list and I scan it. I don't know scan it as often as I did, but Okta is a name I have been involved with and a name in cybersecurity which I like. I've got this purple line drawn here for a reason. I think we drew it a couple weeks ago, but it's similar to my other charts. As soon as Okta goes above this like 118 level and sustains it for a week, I'll be looking to get long Okta. Now this is a chart that isn't just straight up like, Google was to some degree. This is something that's been taking a hit, right? And it's building out some type of base. If we look at something that has been straight up,
So that technically was great too, right? Rejected reject the 200 week, find support at 50 week. Like technically, it's a great chart as well,
Yeah.
and it's at the top of the base. So this
Yeah.
is potentially a huge base breakout. Where does it take it though? Like, do you then start to trim as it hits pivots, or is this a long-term position?
Yeah, it depends if it's a trade or if it's a long-term position. I would say for Okta, since I missed Zscaler, which was where I was going next, I would probably look to be long, intermediate to long term. So not something I would trade in and out of within the next 6-8 weeks or so. I would probably stay long Okta for a bit longer. Zscaler, similar looking chart, but obviously looks much better. I mean, we had all this area down here in this confluence, and I missed that trade. So I would have been involved with Zscaler anywhere down here in like the 190s. And I just missed it. It's gone. It's at 232 now. So another bus comes in 10 minutes. So I'll be on the lookout for that.
I like Zscaler. It barely went down. And when did it go down? Like the last couple of days, right? Like that's how you know that the market is basically at the levels of capitulation, because the ones that were holding up that relative strength all got hit right in that last couple of days. And so when they started to get hit, boom, you have to start looking for longs.
Well,
So
here's the top 5 things on my watch list that I've been paying attention to: Tractor Supply, Dollar General, Reddit, Zscaler, and ServiceNow. I mean, I called ServiceNow weeks ago. We talked about this on the pod, and I thought any weakness in ServiceNow should be a buy. Obviously, you get rewarded after earnings there, but this is another chart that I would have looked at and really not liked the look once it got below this 50 weekly. But if you zoom out, as we love to do, it wasn't that bad, right? I mean, everybody had a bad time in April with the lows and the volatility. But you look at ServiceNow, that was just a rock star pick right there. And another one, I can't get them all. I'm not sitting in the chair all the time paying attention. Reddit is another one that I've got my eye on that I like. I don't know if we're going to break down to a new low down here in the low 80s. But another name I got my eye on, and then Dollar General and Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply, on the other hand, of being all bullish, this looks like distribution to me. This looks like it's rolling over. So while I'm wanting to be active in Tractor Supply, I'm not ready to buy it yet. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And if it can come back down into the 47 range, I'll keep an eye on it. But to answer your question more succinctly, GP, the way I look at getting active is you got to do the work, right? You got to browse the charts and see what you like and what is taking in what's affecting things in the broader sense of the macro, which I don't like doing, but as we've talked about in this environment, you kind of have to do. You sort of have to play this or that, like Nick says.
I think if you're coming from if you're coming from a trader's perspective and coming from a place of cash, you've got to identify your risk of ruin first, like your like the max dollar amount you're willing to risk, whether it's like 8% or 10% or 20% of your account. And personally, I would prefer to cast a wide net and take on a lot of smaller positions, especially like if for me, I was in the camp that we were Ving out. And based on how price was holding the 0.5, the 0.618 on the Qs, as price was holding, that was telling me to at least throw on a little bit more risk. And then as the trade starts to work and your positions, you can see what positions are working, which ones aren't. Obviously, cut the fucking losers and add to the ones that are winning. Even if it might not even be necessarily a loser in the sense that it's not working, you just might have gotten a shitty price, but drop it. Like if you're already well positioned in another name, who cares if you're, I mean, I guess you could argue at a whole nother point, but who cares if you're in, again, Zscaler versus Okta? If you miss one or the other, what the other one is working for you, fucking hammer it. That's just kind of my how I kind of approach it, especially coming from cash. The thing that sucks for me personally, coming from a place of cash, is I'm already in a drawdown. Because if I've allowed positions to work and work and work and I'm trail stopping, I'm not selling. I might be selling a little bit on the way up, but for the most part, I'm letting price bust the 10-day or the 20-day, and my P&L is coming off the top. So it's kind of a little bit of a mind fuck there, but you got to work through it. Know yourself, and again, trade your plan accordingly. I just wanted to kind of go back and kind of touch on that. But
I think that's so important, Nick. I mean, you can have the right trade at the wrong time, right? And if you have a bad entry, sometimes that will sour you on that stock, right? Or making that call or making that buy. I think it's important to show some patience, but at the same time, like you're probably better off just flushing that out of the system and getting that out of your mental and going with something in the same field. So
yeah,
in my case, Zscaler, it's up 20 some percent from where I wanted to buy it, right? So Okta, who's getting ready to break out, that's a more attractive buy to me currently. And if I bought Zscaler, I don't know, over the past couple of days, I'd probably be a little salty about buying it, right? It's not doing what I wanted to do. I called it lower and I missed it. So I think just flushing the bad vibes out to a lot of degree is very important.
Yeah.
And I think, Nick, that goes to sector conversations, right? And just because you're in the sector doesn't mean you're in the right stock, right? And so if you've been watching software over the last couple of years, it's been a struggle bus. Meanwhile, take a look at Palantir, right?
I would
And
love
so,
to.
right? So you like that segue? That's kind of my point, right, Nick? Like if let's say you chose MongoDB versus Palantir, first of all, you should check your charting skills. Second of all, you're in a struggle bus kind of situation. Palantir has just from last year, from 21, 22 level that we talked about, went to 125, a 5x versus MDB, right? Um, it's important to choose the right looking stocks within the sector too. That way you can like I'm not saying it's Okta versus Zscaler, but if Okta and Zscaler charts look similar and they look great, fine. But like I wouldn't be, I don't know, buying how's Sentinel One looking, right? So that's I don't know if I'd be buying Sentinel One over Okta or Zscaler. Right. So that's what I mean by sector dependent. So it's like you can look at the EV sector. They're all crappy right now. Rivian, Lucid, Tesla, everything. But if you choose Rivian, you've been in a world of hurt over the last 3 years. So I think it's important. But like the Palantir conversation is the one that I think we wanted to kind of go over today a little bit. And we talked about this I think the last couple of weeks, right? Palantir did not make a new real-time high, and that's always a tell for me. It did make it after hours, and that was an immediate trap. But I always get concerned when you have this level of power, this level of bounce, and it couldn't take out all-time highs, aka not like Netflix, not like Spotify, right? So, what are your thoughts now? Like, it's a great. This is not a conversation around fundamentals or the company itself. Yeah. This is a technical based conversation. I want you guys to remember that who are listening. This is not, I think Palantir is going to zero conversation. This is just about supply and demand and liquidity, right? So that's the conversation I'm having.
Yeah. My only argument and beef is those calling it a double top. It is not a double top until it confirms. You could say it's a potential double top, sure. And that's great. Like, I'm totally with you. Like, major red flag that it didn't take out highs. On the flip side, the fact that it didn't take out highs also leads me to believe that it wasn't a breakout failure. So like if it would have, I mean, it did after hours, like you said, so maybe that might constitute. But I also
Yeah.
kind of agree with what Ben was saying. So if price holds that 100, like that's where like it could just be building out a handle. Under 100, you should be nervous, and then it gets back towards lows. Then you can start saying, okay, if price breaks this floor, that was a double bottom, and then your measured move is just the expansion of that range. So you're talking like 75 to 125. Like you're basically saying that this thing actually topped out because the measured move
Short
would be
term,
back down to like in the sure.
I'll say
right?
it.
So
Well, no, I'm
it
saying the
topped
people
out.
that are out there
It's
specifically
topped out.
saying that this is a double top, they are saying that this topped out more on a more permanent level than just saying that it got rejected at highs.
So here's this is we've seen this behavior quite often in a lot of names. So not just Palantir, it's that incremental highs and then destruction, right? So look at the Qs. Qs did that. Qs on February 18th made incremental highs, looked bullish, and then started a 27% down move in 3-4 weeks. This is a freaking index, right? So there's been a lot of that trap action going on in these markets that felt like there was less of these 10 years ago, but whatever, it's the market we have. It seems quite it just went from $5.84 to $125.
Oh God, yeah.
It needs to consolidate and absorb. It's the same concept I had with Nvidia, which is monster earnings not going anywhere. Price needs to consolidate into the valuation, and all great stocks eventually do it, even if you can't see why right now.
Is it worth a short currently in your book? And if so, like where would you be risking like middle of the gap, or would you be risking all-time highs, or what, like where would you define your risk?
For me, I'm looking at so I took a short into earnings. But I did it via put, so I got smoked on just premium deflation because the move didn't happen as I thought it would. But what I would say is I'm now watching. I don't have any short term anymore. Just closed it out. But I'd be watching last week's close. It's 108.87. It has now flirted with that level more than a couple dozen times since yesterday's earnings. So that's the level I'd be watching. If it holds that, I think you have opportunities that it pushes again to the highs. I don't know if it's going to have the power to push above it, but it closed 1 penny below that, by the way. It closed at 108.86 yesterday.
Well, Ben had written on there short under 100, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I could pose the same question to you.
There.
Would you be waiting for the floor to you'd be waiting for 100 to get taken out and be shorting into that retest, or would you be?
No, I mean, some people would call that shorting in the hole, right? Coming from 125 down to 100. But until it could build out that base, right? And this would be what the base is. I think GP is spot on. And, I love to give GP praise and props when I can. This stock went from $5 all the way up to $125. This stock is more expensive than almost anything out there right now. It's sitting at 100 and hang on, I got the number here. 150 forward PE. Tesla is not even that high, right? Tesla's like at 89 or something. So there's nothing here below 100, and I would short it down to probably 75, somewhere in the 70s. And my God, they better hope it holds there, because if it's not, Katie bar the door, you're getting a 60% haircut.
Yeah, So Generous posted a chart that, like, on the bear case is kind of what I was thinking too. If this is indeed a double top, the measured move would send it back down into the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going. Just grab some diapers, put them on, and get ready because
Well,
it's
just, I haven't thrown anything up here. I was trying to do some scale. From 100, it would definitely be another 20% down to 75. Like, I feel very confident in that. If it was not able to hold here, then you're looking at least another 40% down.
Yeah.
And I know Palantir is a cult stock. I've been involved with Palantir. It's nothing against the company. It's the stock. It's the reality of the situation. It's where this chart looks. And you guys know me well enough. I had it drawn up there earlier. This is the typical Batman pattern. Batman doesn't always play out, just like Head and Shoulders doesn't play out, just like every other pattern doesn't always play out. But when it does, you can expect at least down to Batman's head. And if it fails past that, it's going much further.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I would add to that is now you have two monster volatility candles at that level, that 125 level. Volatility, as we've talked about a lot, marks tops and bottoms. So that to me is more of
Yeah.
an
There you go.
indication than a lot of the other stuff on what's going on. That's just when you have when that first volatility candle hit, Nick, on the earnings report where it tagged 130 and then had a 10% move to the downside. I'm like, oh, game over.
Shit.
I don't know
Yeah.
when they're gonna let it fall, but that is a huge move in 1 hour for a stock that was priced for perfection, and that's kind of what it is. But we should move on from Palantir.
Yeah, I just told the chat, don't come after me. If you were involved under 20s, you should have booked some profit. That's not my fault, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes left.
One of the members wanted us to talk about Dave.
Dave.
And
that's
wanted
something
your
you
opinions.
like.
They've heard mine, but they want your opinion on Dave. And
our
Powell
opinion.
just mentioned rate cuts, by the way.
He did
Dun,
mention
dun,
rate
dun.
cuts.
Dun dun dun. Oh, look at that, markets. Anyway, sorry.
Dave looks great to me. I like every time frame.
I mean, I wish I listened to GP when it was in the 30s.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like the mega caps have a finite amount of money, Bags has a finite amount of money, and he couldn't just throw it at Dave. But GP's been all over this one. I don't know what's not to like. For me, it's building out something similar as it did right here. Right, GP?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at your chart, but it's probably very similar to what I'm going to show you.
Yeah, it's holding the 10-month moving average, consolidating for 7 months straight, ready to freaking go. But you can make the same argument as Palantir, which is it's gone from $4 to $140 or whatever. So it's had a monster move, but it's a $1 billion market cap. They are profitable. They are crushing it.
This Dave and Buster's? Is that what
No, this is a fintech.
Oh, okay.
This is a fintech that supports like micro
I am
to
bullish
small.
on all the food. So,
Nick, what do you like or not like about this chart?
I mean, I love it. I like the monthly. It's just stair stepping higher. Same thing with the weekly. It held the 30 and the 40 week.
Did it really IPO up here at 320 GP? Is that right?
What's that?
Did it really IPO up here in the 3-teens, 316?
Yeah, they reverse split. They were a SPAC. They weren't. They were a SPAC, but launched by Mark Cuban, right? So he's no longer involved, like in anything related to it. So I'm not saying, but he tends to pick out companies that do well over the long term, even if he's not involved.
He was a huge Netflix bull, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's right.
But there's no one greater than me on Netflix bulls.
Yeah, true that. I agree.
Yeah. It's just, dude, it's just price action, and Netflix has consistently shown us the ways of the markets. And what Netflix has been doing over the last 3 months is nothing short of, I'm going to put the weight of the world on my shoulders, right? So,
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, guys.
Back to Dave, real quick. The only candle that I'd really be paying attention to is that November 13th gap up candle. It's the high volume candle. If price loses 95, which you can see when price lost 95, it just went back to 75. I don't know. It looks great.
Yeah, I think if I don't think that you're going to get a gift below 78 right now, but if it does, that's
Probably not a good sign.
probably not a good sign.
Yeah, probably not good. Yeah.
So, where do you think? I personally have an idea of where I think it can go in the next 12 to 18 months, but where do you guys think it can go?
118.
I would say next stop is somewhere in this 180s to
I was going to
210
say
range.
160.
I
I was going to say 160 to 180.
I think
Makes sense.
somewhere in here, GP.
Yeah.
I think that's next range.
Yeah.
Because you already got the big. You already got the big parabolic move. You got the secondary parabolic move. The third, and Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. The third one doesn't tend to be as powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unless they prove otherwise, right? It'll
Yeah.
be really dependent. Yeah. I like it. It looks really well. It can definitely fail because there's earnings.
I would safely say somewhere in the 150s. I would think that's safe, but I think it gets up to the 160s area. That would be where I would look for it to go to.
Cool.
Way to pick
Thanks,
a winner.
guys.
Way to give me a sub $40 stock that's going to 200 GP.
There's been a few of those.
We just give out alpha every week. And
Dude, if you're in the small caps universe, check out app digital term buying. But
Oh yeah. Good.
Nicholas, any last words? We got to wrap this puppy up.
Sell some, hold some.
Sell some, hold some.
Keep those alerts. Keep curating those lists and set those alerts.
Mine is stay patient. A new bus comes by every 10 minutes. Don't feel like you've lost something. Hey, and with that, that's a wrap. We'll see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. You're watching Stocktwits Community Rip Live. We appreciate you being here. Till next time.
Love you guys.